know whether these were pedophiles or sex addicts. Why was this behavior not identified sooner? And why were some of them moved from parish to parish? And then all day we got to talk to the actors about their jobs, about what they do. And like you're looking at here, we never know what we're going to find. 45 minutes after that shooting, there were more shots fired less than 4 miles away. New tonight at 6, we're hearing directly from a school spokeswoman. It starts with the press of a button. Then each athlete gives a vocal cue to send those clay targets firing off from that green unit you see behind me. The problem is they don't know which direction they're going to go.
Must be a pretty nice afternoon.
Well, let's not get crazy with it. It's still a little bit chilly out there, right, Chuck? Also, be aware of your surroundings as you park your car and try to leave your vehicle in a well-lit area. Right now, we are along a side road that runs parallel to 55. In fact, that's what you see here behind me. And we tried reaching out to the Peoria Diocese, but we were told the bishop would not be doing an interview with us. So they're still attacking the fire. They've got crews who are attacking it from above. They're bringing in water. We've had fire trucks coming and going all day long. In fact, he says many were taken here in Atkinson, specifically across the street from St. Anthony's, next to the rectory. Hey, what about the parents who have to take said kids to school or pets for walks? You know, it's tough on us, too.
Exactly.
Yeah, tough on everybody.
Kaylin, tough to see so much damage to a well-known local business.
Well, it really is. I mean, this is right here on this main street running through Washington. So many people familiar with this building. And now look behind me. This is what's left of it. And it's not even over yet. Again, as you mentioned, this has been going on for hours. It started about noon today. They believe the fire started in the service area. Now, that's not an official statement from fire officials, but we did learn that from one of the employees here at Uftring who says he was in the building at the time. They believe it started in the service center. Again, you can see some of that damage on the side to the front of the building, to the side of the building. So it happened around noon. They evacuated employees. We do want to stress no one has been hurt, at least to our knowledge. The company did say that they got everyone out okay, safe and sound, both employees and those customers who were here. Take a look at some of the video that we shot earlier, though, today. Again, this just tells you that what you're seeing now is what we were seeing at noon. That gives you the scope of this fire itself, how difficult it has been for crews to put it out. Mayor Gary Manier told me earlier here on the scene that there are some fires on this, or there are tires rather, on the second story of this building, and that's adding fuel to those flames, continuing to burn. So again, they've had departments from all over the area assisting with this, trying to put this out. It's tough for this community, especially after they've been so much, but the mayor is optimistic that as a close-knit community, they will get through this.
I think we learned a lot because of the tornado in 2013 of communities, how they come together and how we protect each other. And this is just an unusual circumstance, you know, when we have to start hauling water in because we poured water so long. We're getting the water towers getting low, and so we're just bringing water. And I understand they just asked for 15 more trucks.
Yeah, so what the mayor is referring to there, again, the fact that they've had at least 15 plus other departments from the area coming in, bringing water they're using to fight those flames, then they're going back out to get more. It's really been an ongoing issue, an ongoing problem. As for Uftring, they did release a statement earlier today that we wanted to share with you. And you can see here, but basically just summing it up, they really wanted to thank the firefighters who have been here on the ground, risking their lives in this bitter cold, fighting this fire. They also want to thank the public. They said they've got an incredible amount of support from people who have been reaching out to them, keeping in their prayers, offering support. But again, as you come back out here live, so they're still attacking the fire. They've got crews who are attacking it from above. They're bringing in water. We've had fire trucks coming and going all day long. They also have the Red Cross who's here on the scene along with Salvation Army, handing out hot cocoa, hot coffee, sandwiches to firefighters. So this is indeed a community effort. But again, we don't know the official cause. We don't know the extent of damage. We don't know when they will even potentially get this under control. We're certainly hoping, for the firefighters' sake, that is sometime tonight, Tyler. Tyler, this has been such an incredible day. It's been a ton of fun. We got to do red carpet interviews. Then they brought us down here for some mock demos. So behind me, they had little scenarios set up. We had Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, and Chicago Med, where they trained us on something they might do in a scene, a little reenactment, if you will. And then all day we got to talk to the actors about their jobs, about what they do. And like you're looking at here, we never know what we're going to find. These guys are cutting up all the time, so...
My partner just coded. Sorry.
Doctor, what are you doing?
Sorry, he just coded. I got to put some life back into him. You know what? No, he doesn't have a pulse.
Now, Nick, they trained me how to intubate. Do you want me to jump in? And
Please, guys, no. You want to jump in? Clear! I'm suffering from a broken heart.
These guys are so much fun. They have been cracking us up all day long.
He's good now. He's good.
Doctor, thank God you were here.
Thank you, Chuck. A Morton woman's family says she suffered a stroke one day after a visit to the chiropractor. But is a neck adjustment really to blame? We're taking a look in our special report, The Adjustment Argument.
I love you.
Precious moments meant to document their son's early years, now preserving memories of Amber Thomas before the stroke.
Say hello, everybody.
No.
Well, you're just saying hello. Say hello and say everybody. Hello, everybody.
Oh, everybody.
It happened more than 2 years ago in the family's former home. After waking up feeling dizzy, Amber had gone back to bed that afternoon.
Our master bedroom is right up here over the kitchen, and it was then that I heard her hit the floor as we were sitting down here.
Clutching their 16-month-old son, he raced up the stairs to find Amber lying on the floor.
Castle County 911.
Yeah, hello. My wife has been ill, and she just fell out of bed. She is still breathing. Her eyes are open, but she's unable to talk. She can't squeeze my hand to tell me a yes or no. I have no idea if she's understanding what I'm saying.
Amber was rushed to OSF St. Francis Medical Center, where doctors quickly determined she'd suffered a massive stroke. But then, mid-surgery, a question her husband wasn't expecting.
And he said, did she have her neck adjusted? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, that's what I need to know.
That doctor was Deepak Nair, a neurologist at OSF St. Francis Medical Center.
Several times a year, we will see often young people who have had some sort of stroke, either immediately after having chiropractic care or very soon after within the first few days.
Dr. Nair believes neck adjustments are partially to blame, especially when it comes to tears in the vertebral arteries. And he says it's more likely to affect younger patients, since your arteries lengthen and gain more elasticity as you age.
The artery is passing through these little openings in the bones of the cervical spine. If you then turn the head further left or further right, you're going to induce more stretch injury, and now you're bending that artery over these hard pieces of bone.
For Amber, it was actually her carotid artery, which is encased in soft tissue. But Dr. Nair theorizes if enough plaque was built up inside, a stretched artery could tear on that calcified plaque. My worry would be that if she had a previous arterial injury, that was made worse by the manipulation of her neck. So either is possible, that the manipulation caused the injury to the artery itself, or that it worsened an existing injury there. However, these are theories disputed by many in the chiropractic community.
A little stiff in that right side joint there.
While Peoria chiropractor Chad Walker was not involved in Amber's case, he still doesn't think it's possible an adjustment caused her stroke. You don't think that is possible?
No, I don't. And the research doesn't say that either.
Dr. Nair and the Thomases want chiropractors to warn patients this is a risk. Dr. Walker says while they would assess on a case-to-case basis, warning every patient just isn't practical.
If that were true, then the neurologist should also say in the same sentence, every primary care physician must disclose this same risk. Every dentist, every barber, hairdresser needs to disclose the same risk, because they've had these happen in their offices too.
Instead, he believes these are people who were going to have a stroke anyway, suffering from early warning signs such as head and neck pain, prompting them to see a chiropractor for relief. Dr. Brandon Steele, speaking on behalf of the American Chiropractic Association, agrees.
It's just these people are already having a stroke, and it's when they come to see us, they're already in process. And that's the unfortunate part.
Overall, though, the research is mixed. For example, a 2011 study out of Phoenix found, quote, chiropractic manipulation of the cervical spine can produce dissections. Meanwhile, another study in the Annals of Medicine finds overall, quote, manual therapy does not result in an increased risk.
So as far as neck manipulation, no, there's no cause and effect relationship with stroke.
Dr. Steele says the chances of suffering an arterial dissection, regardless of the cause, are rare. But the Thomases and Dr. Nair aren't so sure.
And if people are really eager to continue pursuing chiropractic care, my common recommendation is, as long as it stay below the neck, that should be fine.
It's something John shares with others, encouraging them to talk to their primary care doctor before visiting a chiropractor. Advice he wishes Amber had received years ago.
She doesn't remember when we got married. So those memories of our son being born, that stuff's gone.
Really tough to see the struggles that she's faced, their whole family has faced. But there have been many bright spots in her recovery as well, and we'll be sharing that with you tomorrow night. We'll focus on some of the strides she's made and highlight a couple other cases with local ties. In the meantime, the family is pursuing a lawsuit against the chiropractor who treated Amber. That's why they declined to name that provider in our report.
Pekin native Jeff Jones was born into a devout Catholic family. Growing up in the 1950s and 60s, his mother often volunteered at St. Joseph's. It was during that time he first met Father Walter Brining.
He would bring gifts. He bought my mom and dad an air conditioning unit. He bought them whatever, new carpet. And I'm a little boy, right? And I'm seeing all this thinking, oh my gosh, this guy's tremendous.
At a young age, Jones says he quickly grew attached to the priest. So when Father Brining was transferred from his parish in Pekin to St. Anthony's in Atkinson, Jones says he jumped at the invitation to come stay with the priest on various breaks from school, including his summer vacation. He recalls working odd jobs around the rectory for money by day, sleeping on a couch in the living room by night. But then, one day, he says the relationship changed.
He said to me, why don't you the air conditioner's better in my room. Why don't you come on in there? And he would sleep there. And I said, okay. And he started rubbing my back. And then the next night, he took my underwear off. And he began to, massage me down there.
Just 9 years old, Jones says he didn't realize it was sexual abuse. And because he loved and trusted his priest, he says he kept his secret silent.
It got to the point where we would take a nap at 1 o'clock, and every day it would happen. Every single day. I knew this was wrong, but I also didn't think it could be totally wrong because Father Brian was the one doing it.
Meanwhile, he maintains his family thought nothing of allowing him to spend so much time with Father Brining, including overnight outings like this trip to Chicago to catch a Cubs game. But that's not the only photo Jones says exists of their relationship. In fact, he says many were taken here in Atkinson, specifically across the street from St. Anthony's, next to the rectory at what was the old school. In fact, he says one day Father Brining took him down to the basement there, and that's where he claims things took a much darker turn.
There was an altar, a table in the middle with a white cloth over it. And I'm walking in here, and there's candles all over this room. Candles everywhere.
From there, Jones claims he was instructed to lay on the table naked, where he was bound and blindfolded, but not before catching a glimpse of a Polaroid camera and a box full of leather products.
And he said, now, I'm going to, I got a whip here, Jeff. And I really need to know what it felt like for Jesus to be whipped. I really need to know. And he sent you here to help me find out. I never knew when it was coming, and he had the camera on it. It was in one hand, I could tell, because he was taking pictures and they were coming out of that thing, because you could hear it. I'll never forget the noise.
Jones claims this bizarre ritual, followed by sexual abuse, happened on multiple occasions over time, including when Brining was moved to yet another parish at St. Augustine's in Avon. Finally, Brining was moved once again, this time to St. Mary's in Henry, where he would stay until he later retired. It was around then Jones, now 15, began distancing himself from the priest and throwing himself into what he later referred to as his escape, baseball. After a full ride to a Division I school and a stint playing in a developmental league, Jones settled down and got married.
I never told my first wife, ever. All the years we were married, 19 years, never told her.
In fact, it was years after they divorced that he met his now second wife and finally shared his secret with her. He says they were watching news coverage back in 2002 of Cardinal Bernard Law, the former Archbishop of Boston, who was one of the first to be publicly accused of hiding abuse within the Catholic Church.
I was watching this on the TV, and she could tell that something wasn't right with me. And when I started to talk about it, it just all came out.
With his wife's encouragement, he says he contacted the Peoria Diocese, but says while they offered to pay for his counseling, he never got any sort of apology and no acknowledgement from Bishop Daniel Jenke.
They've never spoken to me. They've never apologized. They've never given me a hint that they're sorry that this happened. Nothing.
Meanwhile, Jones's wife says she tried confronting Brining himself.
He just stood in the doorway, and when I mentioned who I was and introduced myself, he just said, "I have nothing to say," and shut the door.
Frustrated, the couple joined forces with SNAP, the survivors network of those abused by priests, and started holding press conferences in Peoria, including this one from 2005. Jones started hosting monthly meetings in central Illinois, encouraging other victims to come forward.
It wasn't necessarily the same priest. It was different priests, and wasn't necessarily the same parish. It was different parishes.
It was during this time SNAP's founder and president, Barbara Blaine, encouraged Jones to pursue a lawsuit. He was eventually joined by 11 other people, including his brother and a childhood friend who said they too had been abused by Brining. That lawsuit dragged on for 8 years, during which time Jones shared his story in front of the Illinois Senate in an attempt to change the statute of limitations, something that prevented him and others from pursuing criminal charges. That law wouldn't be changed till much later in 2017. But while the courts debated the issue, the Peoria Diocese ended up settling with Jones and his group for an undisclosed amount of money. As for Brining, already retired, he was defrocked, only to pass away shortly thereafter in 2009. His final resting place, a cemetery more than an hour away in Spring Valley.
I don't feel sorry for him because of the pain he's caused everyone, but the life he led was just despicable.
For Jones, even knowing Brining is gone, the nightmares remain very much alive.
I think about it, and it haunts me every single day.
So why does he continue to relive the abuse by sharing his story?
Again, maybe we're going to save one person. And if we do, has this meeting been worth it? You better believe it.
Dandelion woman.
With the new release of his latest CD and an edgy music video for the feature track Dandelion Woman, Joe Stamm is keeping busy. When he's not writing or recording new music, he's performing at venues all over central Illinois and beyond.
Sing it with me, come on.
From opening for country music star Easton Corbin at Washington 5 Points to playing before a packed crowd at Cruisin's in Peoria, the Metamora native is seemingly everywhere, much to the delight of his growing fan base.
It makes me want to get up and dance, and yeah, I just love it.
He's got a really great voice, number one. Number two, he's got a really good a presence, you know.
While fans' loyalty is certainly a testament to his talent, it's also a result of a lot of hard work. Joe plays 2 to 5 shows a week. In 2018 alone, he will have played around 150 shows. But despite the occasional brush with music this early picture implies, his singing and songwriting didn't start till much later. Long before the bright lights of the stage, Joe gained attention under the Friday night lights of Metamora High School's football field.
Well, Joe worked extremely hard, and he was very passionate. Joe's the kind of guy that whatever he's going to get into, the throttle's always open.
A talented quarterback, Joe led his team to back-to-back state appearances in 1999 and 2000. He accepted a full ride to Northern Illinois University to play football when he was sidelined by an injury.
I was a quarterback, and I had a bad shoulder injury that I went into college with, and the doctors and trainers told me after a year of trying to rehab and a few surgeries that it just wasn't going to happen anymore.
Still, he refused to give up the game completely, transferring to Taylor University in Indiana, where he could continue playing, this time in a defensive position. Sadly, the injury again proved to be too much, but that prompted him to pick up a new challenge.
In order to graduate college, I had to take a music course, and so I took intro to guitar, and I really barely knew how to play a couple chords before I wrote my first song. It was called 8 Ball, and it was legitimately about playing pool. And it was kind of one of those things about like sinking the 8 ball too soon, and it was horrible. It was terrible.
Still, he had natural talent and wasn't afraid of the limelight, even taking to the stage for a talent contest his senior year at Taylor.
Was I surprised about him going into music? Seriously, not because it's my son, but the kid was born with a gift set. He can write, he can draw, he can paint, he can do athletics, he can sing.
Whatever he does, whatever he takes up, he'll give it 100%, whether it's sports, music, it don't make a difference what it is.
For Joe, it was all about the songwriting.
I love good stories. I like telling good stories. I like creating good stories.
Over the years, Joe continued playing shows till 2016. He took a leap of faith, chronicled in this Facebook post, where he decided to quit his day job and pursue a music career full-time.
I think the reality of it hit me, that maybe I could make a run at this.
It was around this time the remaining members of the Joe Stam Band all finally came into the picture. They don't just add complexity to Joe's lyrics, they bring plenty of camaraderie and laughter to the stage.
We probably play around 100 and...
There's always one.
Interview foul. Interview foul.
Honey, we're in the middle of the interview. We can't talk. Okay, I got
But it's not just fun and games. The band practices weekly. All the while, Joe stays busy behind the scenes, especially on social media, interacting with fans. And it's all starting to pay off. The song First Saw You, a duet Joe recorded with another artist, made Apple Music's Breaking Country playlist. His downloads continue to go up on other platforms too, including Spotify. And the band is now booking shows a year in advance, not just here, but more and more out of state, from Iowa to Alabama. The sky seems to be the limit for this Central Illinois boy and his band, with their names destined to appear in bigger and brighter marquees. For now, though, Joe says he's just happy doing something he loves.
If the radio never plays any of my songs, that's okay. As long as I can maintain and grow an audience. And again, do it well enough that I can keep the lights on, pay my bills, then that's making it. When I first saw you.